Hi everyone, it's Lee here. Thanks for joining me. I want to share something with you that I've found super fun to make. I got the idea from Eva at Bohemian Crafting, and I'll put a link to the video where she made her envelopes. But she was making these big grungy envelopes, and they're made from book page. So pocket like that, and the paper actually looks like leather when you finish. This is the first one I made, and this was following Eva's instructions to the pretty much to the letter. She didn't put a closure on hers. I decided to put one on mine later on, but it's made from 2 book pages joined together at the bottom. Then there's cheesecloth is glued to the other side of the paper, and then it's treated with a mixture of shoe polish basically to make it look like leather. So this is one that I've made, but I haven't stitched it together. So it's book page, and you can see there's the cheesecloth is glued to the back. That's just to strengthen the paper, and if you didn't know any better, you would think that was leather. And on this one I glued a die cut butterfly onto it. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that in that light. And yeah, so there's a few things that you need to do. It's really easy, but it's just a little bit time consuming. So you have to decide how big you want your envelope to be. So I thought I'd use a couple of pages out of this book. So I'm going to use 2 pages out of that, and I've got my yucky craft mat down here because this gets a bit messy. So I'm going to glue them together end to end. Doesn't matter which ends you glue together. So this is the first step, is to glue the paper together. So you've got a piece of paper like that now, and now I'm going to fold it in half. So now I'm going to decide how tall I want the envelope to be. So I think I'll fold this down about 1 inch, and I can glue that down. And I'm going to fold the flap over. This is from the back side of the envelope, and I just want to cut a little recess in each side. So to make sure they're even, I'm just going to put 2 pieces of paper together and cut like that. So that's come up a little bit. I'm just going to glue that down again. So this is what you've got so far. You've got your 2 pages joined together, you've got the front of the envelope folded over and glued down, and then you've got a flap there. And because there's a little bit of glue, like crusty glue there, I don't want to take too much off the side. And it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because it's going to have the cheesecloth underneath it poking out anyway. Okay, so this is the inside. I'm going to cover this in cheesecloth now. Okay, so I've cut a piece of cheesecloth that's a little bit bigger than my piece of paper, and I can trim that off at the end. So I'm going to just use glue stick to glue this on. So this is the inside. Plenty of glue. Okay, so I'm just going to put it face down on there, and then I'll straighten it. You just want to trim around that a little bit, otherwise it gets in the way. Just want to leave probably about 1/4 of an inch poking out. Okay, so that's the base of the envelope. I'm thinking that I will glue some tissue down on that to make some texture. So I've got, this is actually deli paper, so I've got a couple of pieces of this, and I'm just going to scrunch it up and then I'll glue it onto there and try and like get some nice wrinkles in it. Make sure every bit of it's covered and then trim off the excess. Alrighty, so this is what we've got so far. Here's our envelope. We've got cheesecloth on the inside, tissue paper on the outside. I'm just going to refold it. Like so. And now it's time to start making this look something like leather. This is the messy bit. I'm going to put a couple of pages down. What I've got here is brown shoe polish. It's a liquid shoe polish with a sponge applicator. I did what Eva did, and I took the sponge off, and first I put some paint in. She used black paint. I didn't have any liquid black paint, so I put purple in there, and I didn't like the colour that it turned out. It was really, really purple. So I then put some black ink in here, and it has made a difference, but it's still not the colour that I want. But it'll do. So I'm just going to coat this in the shoe polish. So that's got to dry, and then I'm going to give it another coat. Now the beauty of this is it has natural waxes in it, so it's going to protect, like seal and protect and strengthen the paper. So I'll dry that and apply probably another 2 or 3 coats to get it to the colour that I want. Look at this, how awesome does this look? It's just gorgeous. This had 4 coats to make it look this way. All that needs now is to be sewn together, and it's an envelope. The next thing I want to do with it though is to distress that a little bit. So I've got sandpaper block, so I'm just going to go over this lightly. I don't want it to go right back to white, just to take some of the tops off, make it look a little bit grungy, and then I'm going to go over it with some ink. There's glue there, and here something's happened there. Might have missed, or the sandpaper's taken the tissue right off. I haven't tried it with this tissue paper before. I need to put something there. And here, it's come off a little bit. So I'm just going to dab some of the shoe polish on there. Dry it with this. Now I'm going to zigzag all around like a frame in here and on the back. I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and do that. See how lovely that looks. Okay, probably not showing up in the camera. I'll show you on the inside. So I've gone just in from the edge of the page, just in from the edge with a zigzag stitch. If you wanted to put a closure on it and like an eyelet or something, this is the time to do that before you sew it together. But I'm going to stitch my envelope together now, and I'll be stitching up the sides, across there, and then down there. And then when that's finished, I'll come back and have a look at it, and wherever there's any of these lighter spots that sort of like look a little bit too white, I'm just going to go over that with some distress ink. So I'm just going to sew the envelope together. So I'm sewing around that with just a plain straight stitch. I just want to tidy up some of these edges. Just a little bit, not too much. Don't want to take all the character away from it. This bit here, I need to trim that a little bit because it wasn't closing. So without a closure on there, you can just simply tuck that inside. It's just catching there for some reason. Just going to snip that. Just there. That's better. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim off these straggly bits of tissue that are overhanging. Be careful not to cut the envelope flap, of course. So I've only got vintage photo in oxide, so it's going to change it a little bit. And there's the envelope. So I'll make another one and I'll do it exactly the same as Eva did hers. I don't have the trim that she used, but I'll improvise. Okay, so I've made the base of the envelope. I've got the cheesecloth on the other side, and in keeping this as close to Eva's as possible, I've cut the side off some ring binder paper, so I've got that little strip of circles there, and I'm going to glue them on. I want them to be about a centimetre in from the edge. Getting things straight these days is pretty hard for me. I can't see properly. So then this one is a little bit long. I asked my husband to ask the girls in the office where he works if they've got any of the strip from the side of the computer paper. I'm sure they would get reports or something. And, I'm hoping he'll come home with a pile of it for me. It's so windy here. My clothesline blew over about half an hour ago. I had to go out and try and get it upright again. It's not. It's a 3-meter clothesline, but it's on wheels, so it can be moved around. Like you can follow the sun if you're washing, if you want to, or wheel it into the garage if it starts raining, that sort of thing. Yeah, and there's this God almighty crash. And I thought, what on earth was that? Couldn't work it out. That's not straight, but it's going to have to stay like that. And when I went out, the clothesline's laying down. So, yeah, it's full of clothes, of course. One side of it is, anyway. So I had to call on my Wonder Woman powers and try to get it back upright again. Once this dries, I'll put the shoe polish on it. So I've just basically made a decorative square with the little holey things, the strips of holes in them. So when the shoe polish goes on over that, they'll stand out. Well, that's got 4 coats on it, and it's ready to have a bit of a light sandpapering now. So you can see, I hope it's focusing for you, the colour, and you can see those strips of paper with the holes. So they'll show up even more once this is given a light sand. So do that, and then I'll do some stitching. Edges, trying to get the distress look on the edge of it. I'm going to take it to the machine. I know Eva zigzagged all around her paper strips, but I'm not sure whether I want to do that. And she also had a mailing label that she stitched on. I don't have any mailing labels, so I could improvise with a piece of some sort of plain paper. Okay, so I've stitched around the decorative paper on both sides and then stitched it closed and attached that label, but it was meant to be there, and because I was working on it with it unfolded, I put it in the wrong place, and it's actually, that's another sticker over the top. It's actually upside down. Some mushrooms on this side going that way. So anyway, that's how you fix it. You stick another sticker over the top. And now I used the lighter thread just so you could see how that would work. And I just want to put some vintage photo over it now. So I'm just going to go over the stitching and the edges, wherever the white is. just to slightly change the colour of the white. The thread I used was actually a creamy sort of colour, so it's not a white. So you can see the difference there now, hopefully. Now I want to go over here and the stitching. I'm also going to go around the, whoops, I'll have to glue that down, just around the label too. Okay, that label's supposed to be down here. I'd like to make some big ones of these, really big ones, like an A4 size. That'd be nice. There you go. Awesome, eh? Love it. Let's do a little repair. Now there's so many different ways that you could dress these up. Eva had obviously made a much bigger envelope than what I've just made, and yeah, so she had a mailing label that was about that big, and it was sort of in the left hand corner. I reckon her finished size of her envelope would have been something like that. Yeah, and I think the mailing label took up a fair bit. I like that. I love it actually. So I've got a few to show you. So these are the ones I did yesterday. That was done, that's a piece of gel print, and that is book page with strips of paper stuck to it. And I used the shoe polish on this one, and some gilding paste, some gold, and I've put that closure on there. And this one's also got like a strip of decorative paper there. So there's that one. This is the one I made before with the tissue on top. This is my least favourite, and I don't know that it's I don't like it. I think if I was to do it again, I would definitely use Mod Podge to glue down the tissue, because the glue stick didn't really cut it. So you can see there's a few places where it still needs to be fixed up, but still fine. And the flap just tucks in, so I've got a bit of white showing there, so I might have to put some more shoe polish on that one. So there's that one. And then there's also this one, which was the first one I did, and it's got the paper strip with a zigzaggy edge along there, and I just made some little circles, punched out 1/2-inch circles and glued them onto the corners, just for a little bit more detail. Obviously I got a closure on there, and then I stenciled this thing here with the gilding paste for that. Just applied it with my finger. And got your closure. And that's just 2 circles of, that was the wind. 2 circles made from, not cereal packet, but this stuff. So we had coffee sachets in it. So that's that one. There's this one which I haven't sewn together, which is possibly one of my favourites. So I just need to stitch it together. I like the big top on it, the big flap. Sort of got it a little bit confused with my own instructions and made my flaps a bit too small on a couple of these, but this has got a nice big one. And I put a butterfly onto the paper. I set it in, I glued it on, and then I've put the shoe polish over the top. That's actually carved pumpkin that I've gone over with on this one. That one's really nice and shiny. And this is the last one I just made. I need to think I need to give it another coat of polish, to be honest. You can go over them. This one has got shoe polish on the outside of it, that's why it's lovely and shiny. So I'll show you what difference it makes to this. I just have to be careful not to get it on the label. Which won't be a problem because I can't get the tin open. There we go. I'll do it on the back so you can see what it looks like now. This really lifts it. Makes it really, really shiny. It's messy. Changes the colour, makes it a bit richer. It's dark tan is that colour. This is the look that I really like, the one that's on the butterfly one. So I went over it with shoe polish a few times. Well, when I say a few, 2 or 3. Oops. Just gives it a richness. It looks really nice. So that's on there now. Just give it a little bit of a buff on the cloth. So that's the front, and that's the back. You can see the difference, how shiny it is. Yeah. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. There's a link to Eva's video in my description box, and I'm going to make some more of these because I've got other stuff that I want to make it with. See, I've got these things I reckon would work really well. I've got the masterboards that I made the other week, so I think they would go really well made up into these envelopes. So yeah, let me know what you think. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment or a question, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe and hit the notification button so you know when I've put up a new video. And I'll see you in my next video. So cheers from Australia. Hooroo. Thanks for watching. Bye.